Part 1: School Breakfast Program and National School Lunch Program. Are they worth it? Michelle Obama, former First Lady and creator of the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010, once brilliantly stated, "All children should have the basic nutrition they need to learn and grow and to pursue their dreams, because, in the end, nothing is more important than the health and well-being of our children." A child's brain develops until the mid-20s, and food is an integral part of healthy growth and development. Calories fuel the body for physical activity and are important for the brain to learn and retain information in school. Food goes further than simply fueling the body. A varied diet is important for a diverse gut microbiome. A diverse gut microbiome keeps pathogens away, supports the immune system, and reduces inflammation. A child's growth could be stunted by malnutrition, and diseases like kwashiorkor could develop. Kwashiorkor is most common in young children and is a result of malnutrition, especially a lack of protein. The gut microbiota has low diversity and is highly resistant with conditions like kwashiorkor. Unlike most diseases that result from malnutrition, increased calories do not help the disease. Instead, a more complex treatment, like fecal microbiota transplant, is needed. Food, especially for children, needs to have diversity and be mostly nutritious, which comes from fruits and vegetables, to prevent malnutrition and other diseases that originate from food insecurity. Access to diverse foods can be difficult, which can lead to complicated health issues, including obesity. Nutritious whole foods like fruits and vegetables are necessary for healthy growth and brain development. Produce is more expensive, which makes access to healthier choices more difficult. Food like ramen noodles, rice, and pasta are cheap foods, but they do not provide much nutrients for the body. According to Feeding America, food insecurity affects 100% of counties in the United States. People in every county of the United States rely on government programs to put food on the table and wonder where the next meal will come from. Issues for low-income students, other than food insecurity, include a lack of transportation, lack of education, poor mental health, and infinitely more. Children already in poverty are 5 times, or 45.3%, more likely to stay in poverty than children who never experience poverty. In other words, when children are in poverty, poverty is likely to follow the child in the future, or the cycle of poverty. Another issue for children in low-income houses is the lack of transportation. To get to school, transportation is often needed. Rural areas are cheaper to live in, and without a car or other form of transportation to school, the child might not have an education, especially a quality education. If the child gets to go to school, parents in poverty might struggle to pay the bills. The child or children might drop out of school and get a job to help pay the bills. Higher educational degrees are linked to better jobs and therefore a higher salary, so without a high school or college degree, that person is less likely to make a sufficient income. Clearly, there are barriers that prevent someone in poverty from getting out of the cycle, making poverty sticky. Because the issue of food insecurity, and more specifically, the lack of access to nutritious foods, is so common, what should be done about it? The National School Lunch Program in 1946 and the School Breakfast Program in 1996 are 2 programs that aim to reduce food insecurity among children in poverty. The Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act, or HHFKA, is a government program following the National School Lunch Program in 1946 and School Breakfast Program in 1996 that increased federal funding for schools who followed nutritional standards from the HHFKA. There was concern about the food quality from the National School Lunch Program, or NSLP, and School Breakfast Program, or SBP, and the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act responded to the concern. Before the HHFKA, there were standards for food quality, but the standards were far more broad. Following the HHFKA, the nutrition of meals from the NSLP are required to have more fruits, vegetables, protein, and whole grains while reducing calories, sodium, sugar, and saturated fat. One nutritional requirement is for schools to provide children with at least 2.5 cups of fruit and 3 3/4 cups of vegetables. Although the act makes feeding children more expensive, the federal government should continue assisting to fund the HHFKA. Some positive effects of the HHFKA are enhanced performance at school, lower obesity rates, and increased quality of food. Feeding children is necessary for survival. A child has to be fed regardless of his or her circumstances. Children cannot control the familial environment which they are born into, and as previously mentioned, food is essential for survival. According to Tara O'Neill Hayes and Madeline Van Horn, about 60% of school children in the U.S. receive meals through the NSLP and SBP. The threshold for who qualifies for the NSLP and SBP are the same for each state. According to Feeding America, free meals are given to those 130% below the federal poverty level, and reduced meals are given to those 130 to 185% below the federal poverty level. All children whose families financially qualify for the NSLP and SBP do not receive school lunch. The process to apply for free or reduced school meals is lengthy and requires personal information which some families are not willing to release. According to a revised prototype application for free and reduced price school meals from the USDA, families have to release who and how many family members live in their household. Each state gets reimbursed differently, and there are several factors that go into how much the school is reimbursed. The Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act makes the school breakfast program and the NSLP worth the billions of federal dollars spent because the money goes toward nutritious foods to help a growing child. Enhanced performance in school is one effect of the NSLP and SBP. As of 2023, around 25% more children have started eating breakfast in the morning. Breakfast is an especially important meal because food in the morning is needed to retain information in school. When children have food, they are more likely to perform well on assignments. To get a higher education, performing well in school is necessary. As well as performing better in school, lower rates of obesity have been reported for students after the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act was passed. In the impact of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act on obesity trends, a result of the HHFKA is children who eat school breakfast and or lunch have 9% lower odds of having obesity each year. In school-age children, the risk of obesity would have been 47% higher in 2018 without the legislation. Before the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, the food served to children had more calories, less protein, more sodium, and more saturated fats. Now, with HHFKA, the federal government should continue aiding programs like NSLP and SBP because the food served to children has nutritional standards. The cost of the NSLP and SBP have increased over the years due to the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, though the HHFKA has greatly reduced food insecurity since 2010 through the NSLP and SBP. The increased cost could be a potential concern from one point of view. The cost has increased because the quality of food has improved. As quality increases, so do prices. The increase in cost for schools should not be a concern because the federal government has reimbursed 6 cents for every meal that follows nutritional standards. The HHFKA has made the NSLP and SBP worth the increase in cost because children are less obese, eat more nutritious foods, and there is less food waste. Before the HHFKA was implemented, there was concern that food waste might increase because most children are not used to eating fruits and vegetables. To Cohen and Schwartz's surprise, Overall food waste did not increase as a result of the healthier standards. There was increased consumption of entrees and vegetables in school post HHFKA compared with pre-implementation. One cause of less food waste is due to the freshness of the produce. According to a cook in Pearson Neal's Challenges and Opportunities of Providing Free School Meals for All, a little more feedback from the classroom could potentially reduce the amount of food waste. As part of the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act, grants were given to schools for local produce. The Patrick Leahy Farm to School Grant Program is meant to improve children's health through nutrition by connecting local farms to schools. Local produce with minimal transportation is the most fresh and generally the most nutritious. According to Policy to Plate, implications of 2025 U.S. federal policy changes on school meals, fruits and vegetables are taken from farms around the schools. Specifically, about 75% of school food authorities or districts participate in farm-to-school activities. The benefits far outweigh the costs, literally, because children deserve to have nutritious food that sets them up for success. The NSLP and SBP do not only impact children, the programs help families financially as well. Breakfast and lunch are expensive, and families can put the money that would be spent on food towards other basic necessities such as rent. The federal government spent around $24.8 billion total on the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program in 2025. All children deserve to have food, as food is essential for survival and well-being. Although the cost of food for the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program have increased, programs like the Patrick Leahy Farm to School Grant Program have decreased the financial burden on schools. The Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act aimed to increase effectiveness of the NSLP and SBP, and the government should fully fund the programs because children, parents, farmers, and future employers are positively impacted. Effects of proper nutrition from the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act include enhanced performance in school, lower obesity rates, increased quality of food, and decreased food waste. After all, the goal is for people, especially children, to thrive, not just survive.